you guys can kind of make a decision whether you are going to go for a short rest here or try to push on with the condition effectively of what Felix's healing has left you with. But otherwise, yeah, everything sounds kind of correct how you've gotten here. The overall experience, as far as the recap go, it's really sad to hear in hindsight, like how little of the Reg tribes you guys actually got to experience. And so much of that was because Johann, like, one, came so forward with his relationship right away, and two, you guys were right away and confronted with the Tiger tribe. But that was very disappointing. I did want to add, um, they effectively have both come because they kind of like see the signs in the sky kind of thing. That like the chosen ones of Oral are like on this way kind of thing. That it's all premonition. I feel like that would be kind of close to Brennick's heart. The way the elk tribe was basically waiting for you. They knew that the like destined ones were coming. Um, and then very similarly placed, the tiger tribe was waiting as well for kind of opposite reasons. But yeah, other than that, we're going to pick up in that same room with the crashed ship, and it's kind of up to you guys how you want to approach these next uh, choices on how you move forward here. If you have thoughts on, do you need to rest right away? Are you going to try to move forward? But I think I've got Valine at 1 hit point. Um, yeah, what
Yeah,
is it? Oh, I think I already told you to roll uh, your hit dice there.
yeah, because I on the assumption since I was going to be out last week on the assumption that you would probably have like a short rest at some point because even with Velixis's healing after that fight, Brannick was not quite mortally wounded, but very bloodied. So he
Yeah.
could definitely use a rest too. Yeah, but I know what I was at before that. I could just go reverse
I
it.
gotcha.
So
Um, let me have one of you roll a. Let me have both of you roll a d20. One of these are going to be from Valine. One of these are going to be from the Professor Orb, Professor Scott. Yeah, you guys are going to both start off with crits here. Professor Scott is going to warn you all, you cannot rest around these skulls. These skulls are animated by pure suffering. They are going to reanimate. They are going to come back to life, and they will burn you until you are dead. So you guys kind of have this choice that the skull themselves, you could pick them up. They are inanimate now. Take them somewhere and dispose of them. You can try to use holy magic to like dissipate the kind of like remnants of life that animate these things. There's a lot of things that you can try to do, but staying near these things is inevitably dangerous.
yeah, Brennick's. I guess Brennick's first thought is kind of if we like gather up the remains, the pieces of these things and try to almost like put them somewhere that they'd be trapped. His first thought was, bury them in the ice and snow, but then if they have, obviously if they have these, we've seen them shooting off fireballs and these weird eye beams, and they could probably break out of that at some point. But yeah, I don't know if Elixis has anything that could more permanently kind of put them down, or Fen, if you have any ideas.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Magical skulls are a little outside of my, expertise.
But we could, I mean, I guess like if they, because they, until we um made ourselves known to them, they weren't like kind of going around hunting. So maybe we just like take them all, bring them out to like in the remote end of this one corridor, leave them there, and just like, okay, we're not going there anywhere near there again. Maybe we'll get lucky if we don't draw their attention back to us.
Yeah, for now, Valixis doesn't really have any sort of spells that would likely be effective against these things. Um, I think again, kind of going off the idea that you both rolled those 20s there, Valine can put forward just the question if anybody has any holy water.
That is not something the Brannick would likely carry, so he does not have any.
That's a negative.
Well, they seem to have gone mad in their tomb. Perhaps your decision, we hide them as far away as possible. We take what rest we need, and we move from here as soon as possible. And she'll kind of look like, what direction or what area were you thinking, Brennick, to place like the remnants of the skulls?
Maybe back where we kind of had initially found them. I don't think we, so like back where the one to directly to the left of Valixis is, like down in that corner. Just kind of put them back there by the wall. Just like put the pieces there, and then just, um, or I guess yeah, if we go up and kind of look
I don't
around, and we
see
just,
any reason. I don't see any reason why you guys couldn't explore the rest of these little tunnels. There's going to be a pretty quick, like stark silence once you do like end that combat. It's going to get kind of, I don't know, eerily silent is not the right word when there was a cackle of laughter previously. So I feel like it's kind of a comforting silence. But effectively, you guys can kind of see that there's um, at least on some level, you've got a tunnel to the southwest that leads to stairs. So you've got some signs things continue on there. You've got this kind of room to the south that kind of opens up into a big corridor. You can see signs of like masonry that is kind of collapsed inside of this kind of massive, almost like a kind of like chapel of ice. It's just filled with like stalagmites of ice kind of reaching down. And then you have almost like the sound absorbent halls where the cackle had previously come from, kind of giving you this sign that like to the northeast and to the northwest there, those are like dead end corridors. So I don't think it would be crazy for you guys to explore further to the northwest or further to the northeast and know that essentially any of those could be good places to hide them. You already have some sense that if one of them discovers you, once spells start slinging, these things are going to come. So I don't think anybody would have any reason to think maybe we should hide like one or two here and one or two over there. You're pretty much guaranteed that if they sense you, you're going to get all of them. So you guys can kind of make that decision where you would like to try to hide them, and then just kind of let me know how you would like to progress from there.
yeah. So Brannick would suggest maybe like that north west corner, um, in the this northern, yeah, and just, yeah, just put them all kind of together. um I don't know if like, even if like we, if there's like any loose snow or anything about, and just like cover them in it, not so much because they can't break out of it, but maybe it will even dampen sound even more.
Yeah, like almost like an insulation.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I would put that predominantly on the idea of how much effort would you guys like to put in to kind of insulating them from the rest of the world. Do you want to try hard? Do you just want to get them out of the way and be done with it?
I guess so. Brannick, I guess, would probably ask Valine, Professor Scant, if they have any idea of, how long it might be, or like how long we have. If they don't have any idea, then I think Brannick's instinct would be to just, kind of not spend as little time with the pieces as possible, and just kind of do like a quick, like base layer almost kind of thing, and then get away from them.
Mechanically, I've always hated that it is effectively 1 hour. I always feel like it's more entertaining to put stuff to a die roll. So I feel like the best answer for that is to say that you're looking at some amount of time, and it's an increasing likeliness that they are going to come to. So I think the proper way to feel about this is definitely we need to be quick about it. Every moment that you take is definitely an extra amount of risk that you don't necessarily want to take.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Brannick's probably thinking like no more than 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. And some of that would be taken up by figuring out like where to put them. So it'd really only be like maybe just a few minutes we'd have to kind of just like put like a bit of ice, icing snow on top of them. But he's not going to like, he doesn't want to spend like an hour trying to bury them down because, yeah, because he doesn't want to be risk being right there when they start to reanimate or, reform.
Does that sound good to you, Finn?
Yes, as little time as possible.
Um, Velixis is going to put forward to you all. Um, if you collect snow from outside, you could cover them in snow pretty quickly. If you shave ice from the walls, you could cover them snow without necessarily leaving their sight. But Velixis would like to take some time to cast a spell via a ritual. She would like to prepare the alarm spell and effectively create an alarm that if they left that area, Velixis would hear.
I think that's worth the risk. Take that time and have her do that. Yeah. And then, yeah, Brannick would say maybe that will, that way we can maybe go and get some, if she's going to be in that area while casting the spell, then maybe Brannick and Fen can go and get some snow from, outside and bring it back and use the 10 minutes that she'll need to do that.
Valine will offer to help Brannick and ask that Fen stay near Velixis in case something bad happens. So to keep the team like split up as Velixis and Fen stay like next to the skulls, and then you use Valine and Brannick to kind of bring in snow.
You got those big hands. Sounds good.
Sound good to you as well, Brannick?
Yeah, Brannick would not have any issue with that plan.
Gotcha. So here's what I would say. Let me get a D100 from you two. If either of you rolls a 1 or a 2, we will have a skull come back. If you roll a 1, I will have you roll a d20, and if you get a 1, it's going to be 2 skulls come back. If you get another 1, I'm going to have you roll exactly. So you guys can go through this process. You kind of dampen them with some snow, just kind of loading up Valine's uh, animal furs, as Valine's animal fur is massive. She can carry effectively as much snow as Brennick and Valine feel comfortable gathering while they are away. If you basically understand that Valixis is casting a spell for 11 minutes, you guys can do a pretty good job. Can I get an intelligence check from you, Brennick? You can have advantage because she also is intelligence based. Yeah, so you guys spend about 10 minutes gathering up snow. You're going to have a solid pile of snow to basically entomb these skulls with. By the time you get back, Valixis is still casting. You guys can get this on top. You can pack it down if you'd like. You can leave it a soft pack if you'd like. But effectively, you guys can kind of set this little alarm, give yourself a little bit of distance, and kind of move forward with at least a thought that these skulls are isolated from you, and you have a sense of a warning system. If they come back, if they start to move out of there, you'll have at least some sense of what is going on.
Yeah, so once all this is done, Brannick will kind of again suggest that we could use a quick rest. Either we could just either stay in this kind of central chamber, or if we want to try and uh, find some other place. But Brannick would suggest maybe just staying here. At worst case, we could try to flee back outside if the things come back and we don't think we can handle them.
Oh yeah, my apologies there. When you guys do step out, you would at least have some sense that the elk tribe has basically come up on top. I think you're still probably like 20 minutes or a half hour away from leaving them, so maybe they're still kind of treating and licking some of their wounds. But effectively, you still have some of the elk tribe outside of this area, basically watching guard over that as well.
Okay, so yeah, and when they went out, Brannick would thank them for their efforts, um, and allowing them to find the entrance, and um, yeah, I mean he wouldn't make a big show of it, but he would thank them for their.
When you go to rest, where would you like to take a rest here?
Brannick is thinking like in this main central kind of chamber that we had come down into.
Gotcha. Sound good for Fen?
Yeah.
So you guys can take a short rest here. As far as things go, you're going to find yourselves uninterrupted. It won't be long before you do start to hear the cackles return. So you have a certain sense of the actual silence becomes a little bit more important about like a half hour mark when you start to hear the first of these like kind of laughters started to emanate from that area. Um, you guys otherwise are still inside of this skyship. Professor Scant, I believe. Oh wait, no, it was Zahn who identified it as one of their like sky taxis. Um, Inside of the actual rubble here, there's plenty of stuff of interest while you guys are resting. As far as passive goes, I think Brennick would probably be the most likely to kind of notice that there's valuables kind of inside of here. And Fen would certainly be able to recognize that among the valuables is a large steel chest that is kind of like partially frozen into the ice. So while you all are resting, you can't do anything extremely strenuous, but you at least have something interesting in this crashed ship.
So with the chest, does it look like we would have to spend some time digging it out to get it open? We wanted to try and look into it.
Effectively, no. Let's say like kind of like one of the back corners is kind of part like frozen into the ice, but effectively like the top is out. This is realistically just one of those situations. If you would like, you can. You've got 50 numbers in Draconic that are on the front of it, kind of telling you pretty quickly. What is it? Velixis can recognize them as Draconic, telling you pretty quickly this is like a combination lock. If you would like to attempt to pick it, you guys can go ahead and do that. If you have a spell for picking it, you could go ahead and do that. But effectively, whatever you would like to do, um, you've got kind of the front facing as one of the visible faces.
Given what we given what we know about the Netherese, Brannick is leery of what might happen if we try the wrong combination or try to pick it and we don't aren't successful. He has some experience with picking locks back from his kind of days back on the streets, but he does not currently have the requisite tools. So unless Felixis or Fen has a set of thieves tool with him, he'd be kind of trying to improvise, which would make it probably more difficult. Doesn't think the chest is likely to go anywhere. He doesn't think that the elk tribe are too likely to follow in. They seem like they're kind of, guarding us. So could I don't know, Brannick's think maybe we come back to it later. But if if Ben wants to try and get open, we can try and figure something out.
I don't have any tools or expertise in any of that stuff either, so I'll just say I think that's a good plan. Just we'll grab it on the way out.
I mean, unless we think there might be something in there that's going to be useful while we're down here, it's no real way to know. Or we could see if we happen to find anything that suggests the combination might be it's somewhere. I don't know where we would find that, but
Well, how big is the chest?
I've got a weight of 200 pounds. I feel like that is solid to say it's probably like 2.5 by 2.5 and kind of like a square. I feel like that's a pretty good kind of guess to it. But if I can, let me get an investigation from you, Brannick. If you rolled essentially a 20, um, I'd say that there's no luck finding a combination. Just kind of searching.
If I don't know if it's possible for Valine to carry it, that would be my choice first. But if not, we can just leave it here until we're on the way out.
yeah, I mean, I do. Brennick does still have the tinker's tools that he picked up. I don't know if there's anything among those that he could try to use on. Like it's an improvised kind of lockpick. Uh, Probably going to be somewhat more complicated than like a typical just easy lock, so that might not work. So yeah, it might be best to just kind of plan to come back for it.
What are Tinker's tools? That's just like the inventor's kit, right? Isn't that something kind of like gnomish? I'm trying to think like what
Yeah,
kind of overlay.
Yeah, I would think it would be like almost like little like maybe like a little screwdriver and
like an
tiny
artificer.
hammer and yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like Tinker's tools were like the proto artificer. Um, I feel like the weird part about this one to me, my bad, I started to choke on spit. I feel like the weird part about this one to me is that it sounds more like, because it's like a dial, uh, that you're almost like the thieves kit has like a stethoscope in it. So you can actually like listen to it. Um, I would almost be tempted to say a Tinker's kit would be normally useful for picking some locks because yeah, like I think you could do a lot with like a screwdriver as a tensioner. And I know that with like a small like once you know how to pick a lock, I know that I could pick a lock almost as good with a small screwdriver as a tensioner and a small like hex wrench as the I can't think of what they're actually called, but what you roll over the actual um the pins on the inside. But the weird thing is because this one is a dial chess. As far as things go with Valine, Valine can certainly carry this. It is going to become one of those things where if she picks it up when danger comes about, she's usually going to basically be kind of in that state of her first actions going to be getting rid of this thing, which could just as easily be she can throw it. It can be just as easily as that she's dropping it, but there's going to be some sort of inconvenience for her carrying it, not simply that she can carry it like it's nothing. The weight isn't going to be a problem, but in the long run, what I mean is simply that she still has to carry something that on some level is large and prohibitively dense.
I think it might be best to leave it here for now. Maybe we'll think of something or find something that might help um, later. But I want to keep Valine. I don't know if we want to take up her hands like that.
And
Basically,
did we take a close look at the tumblers? Are there symbols? Are there what's the is it numerical?
Draconic, and yes, it's numeric. It is effectively 0 through 50 in Draconic on the Tumbler.
Okay, and there's 3 tumblers.
My bad, not tumblers. A wheel, like a spinning wheel.
Yeah, like a
But I'd
briefcase,
say one.
just
Oh,
one.
I was thinking like a almost like a master lock, like with a single circle, where you like go right and then you go left and then you go right.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
But I feel like it says it's a combination lock, which has numbers 0 to 50. I feel like that to me just says like it's a single spinner. But in the long run, it's effectively, I feel like it works out kind of the same. You've got three different numbers to get correct in a row. The three different ones might be a little bit easier to figure out, but in the long run, I think it's the same combination.
Yeah, I just for a second I couldn't remember if it was numerical or pictogram or something like that.
Yeah, I think technically Draconic is a script that is very similar to Dwarfish, so I don't think it would be incredibly difficult for any of you to pick out the difference. It would mostly be that once Valixis identifies it as Draconic, you can kind of see like the root because Dwarvish would have come from the Draconic.
Yeah, so let's leave it here. We'll come back for it.
Yep, sounds good. So I guess after the, kind of after we make that decision and after we get the rest in, I guess our probably next is, do we want to kind of head down this place where we saw the stairs leading down, or do we want to try this larger, wider corridor kind of more directly to our south? Fen, if you have any preference on which way we go first.
Not particularly, although I do have a saying: the path on the left will bring you luck, the path on the right will bring you fright. It's an
That's
old superstitious.
That seems as good a way to decide as any. So this wider corridor here, then. Oh no, no,
Where
no,
the monitors left.
the left. Sorry, yeah. So the stairs, you meant, right?
Well, I mean, technically, no. If we were moving down, the south one would be the left hand one. Southeast.
That's kind of what I was thinking. That little, I don't know, that go-to to always take like the one direction always made me laugh. But yeah, you guys kind of have what is that? I think it's like a 15 or 20 foot kind of like ledge down. As far as the actual difficulty of getting down overall, it would be pretty easy for you all to effectively let out a rope. Valine can let you guys down, and then when it's time for Valine to crawl down, Valine is almost like getting out of bed level of sit down on her butt, put her feet down, slide over onto her chest, and she's like kind of reaching down, touching the ground. She is approximately as tall as that ledge is.
Yep, I think that works. Probably Brannigal. I guess we, try and stay quiet as if we can. Sure,
Who
there's
would like
other.
to go first?
But I think even after that unfortunate run-in with the skulls, Brennick's still pretty excited to be here. So, and after the rest, kind of get his mind back right. So he would volunteer or just kind of um, uh, um, willing to go first.
And you have the light source.
Yes, I had a torch that I think probably would have been dropped it during the fight, but he would get it lit up again and probably same thing, use his mage hand to have it kind of carry it for him.
Gotcha. I'm not sure if I've put it forth yet, but Helene has access to the light spell. So if at any given point you guys want somebody else lit up, or if you run out of torches, just let me know and she can start doing light for you all. I believe the torch is a little bit further distance wise, but essentially to give you all that other option. Oh, I should do her hit dice.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I think actually this is Brannick's last torch. So after this is out, he will take her up on the light spell.
Alrighty. So when you get let down, Brennick, um, you're going to get a little bit better view of this room. It opens up further than your light is currently traveling to the south. You can start to see some of the differences in the coloration, kind of telling you that there's probably two corridors that open up from this room. There's a large pillar of smooth black stone that is crumbled kind of southeast to northwest inside of this room, almost splitting in half. And among the things that you can see to the east of you is more crumbled rock and a smooth black wall of a tower that will very quickly remind you of the tower in which you found Dzan. And as far as things go, I think this is a perfect time for Dzan to kind of speak up in your head as he too recognizes that once again you have found another tower of the Netheries. Uh, when you are let down into this room, though, you are going to kind of like find yourself just kind of looking around in this first little instant, and a stalagmite, stalactite, I think stalagmite comes from the ceiling of ice, is going to fall down from above. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
So I think it's stalagmites are ground, stalactites are from the ceiling. I always just remember it. The G is for ground and the C is for ceiling.
Gotcha. Sadly, I've always been pretty good at remembering them, but I never actually could remember any of the mnemonics for it. I feel like at 36, I'm too old to let it sink in now. I usually guess correctly. Um, so when you kind of get let down into this area and you're taking that initial look around, this ice is going to crash down beside you. You are going to take um, three uh, ice damage, cold damage, or piercing damage, I think is probably better, as this thing smashes into you.
Okay, and kind of as he does that, he'll probably look up and see like does he see other stalactites kind of um up on the ceiling, and in either case he'll kind of like call back to the
Make
others to watch.
make a perception check. This is that room I was describing earlier is filled. It's like a chapel of ice, and this whole massive ceiling is just filled with stalactites.
Gotcha. So yeah, so he would more just I guess warn everybody to kind of watch your steps, keep your eyes open, kind of gesturing up towards the ceiling. And he would kind of as he starts to move in and kind of wait for the others to get down the ledge.
So who's coming next?
So I feel
Uh,
like
Brennick, make another saving throw as another stalactite is going to fall from the ceiling. This time again, kind of dodging it. This one's going to do 7-3 piercing damage to you as it crashes down from above. This time, with a little bit of understanding of what's going on as you're looking, you're actually going to see some of the ice in the ceiling shifts before that stalagmite falls, and you are going to notice that there are tiny little flying creatures that look like stalactites that are running around kind of on the ceiling, and they are pushing, pulling, and throwing these stalactites at you from above. I need you all to roll initiative.
so kind of in those few moments that we spot these creatures, are we able to tell if they look similar to the ones that we'd encountered back in Grimskull in that room leading down?
Effectively, yes, these are once again ice methods. These are creatures that are kind of elemental creatures of air and ice. Their power is derived from this combination, and these are effectively the cold version, the cold and airy version of that, which, yes, you guys encountered that day. And then let's go for Valine and Valixis. Glad there was a little bit of a shadow hiding that guy, but I was not supposed to reveal him. So yeah, as you guys start to see these creatures flying around like 30 or so feet above your head, as the others start to climb down, they're going to start to sling more and more of these icicles from above down at you. Let's go for... All right, somewhere I double added one of those, but I'm not going to correct it yet. Can I not count? Are there 7 methods there, or are there 8?
I see 8, I think. Yep.
I'm bad at counting. All right, so I think that works out. Those are the first 2. The second one is going to huck one. Oh man, it's one more going to be at Brennick. Do another dexterity saving throw for me. And this one's going to do 4 damage of piercing to you. And then we're going to put it on your turn here, Brennick.
Yeah, so remembering back to that first fight and how we kind of like didn't really think of them as too much of a threat at first, but they were picking away at us. Brannick is and just kind of like don't have time for this, and he's going to throw his hand up and he's going to shoot a fireball up to the ceiling, trying to clear these things out. Kind of essentially directly, or how high is the ceiling? Is it high enough that it won't?
30 feet. Yeah, you can easily, I would say you can get, you probably can't get all of them, but you can easily hit them without risking yourselves. All of them are effectively in the ceiling, like in between these stalactites. Unlike the other time where they were like swooping down and like blowing this ice breath on you, these ones are basically right now shaking the ice and then trying to sling it at you.
Yeah, so he'd be almost kind of like throwing it up, almost like kind of directly above him, maybe like around like kind of almost like the center of the ceiling, kind of thing. Because he doesn't, yeah, because he probably, I'm sure he can't actually see all of them. They're probably kind of hiding and dodging and stuff. So he just wants to kind of throw it up at the center and hope to clear out as many as he can.
Yeah, that for me says perfectly fine to hit all 7.
8.
No, I deleted one. There was only supposed to be 7.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant, like that I couldn't count. So we've got looks like 3 that passed. Your number is over their hit points for those that failed. Oh, they're vulnerable to fire. That's a kill auto. My bad. Didn't even matter. So yeah, as that explosion of fire, it is going to shatter a lot of these stalactites from this ceiling, and almost consume them in the conflagration in the same way that these creatures that look like the same icicles themselves are consumed in that fire. And for the moment, you all are going to have kind of like a puff of steam kind of come down before there's like a slight level of this starts to coalesce into a moisture, and you feel for a moment there's kind of a little bit of danger simply from the fact that you're like melting water over your heads. But overall your skins are pretty waterproof. There's no like long-term like mechanical issue with this. I just think that's kind of a funny kind of twist of using fire in an ice cave, is that you're kind of creating like a little drizzle up above your head, as these creatures are all consumed from above. And once again, the ceiling kind of goes still as you no longer see these stalactites moving around above you.
Yeah, so Brannick would be kind of like smiling as he sees this like conflagration kind of like wipe out the thing, and then kind of after a moment, like his smile fades, and he's like, maybe maybe that wasn't smartest thing, and then he's actually going to kind of almost like freeze, and then like as if just remembering, he's going to almost like look back towards the where the direction they had come, and kind of like freeze and like almost like tilt his head out, try to listening like to see if he hears any cackling, like almost thinking like, crap, did I just like alert?
Valixis is going to look to you with, at least for the moment, kind of like a shaking her head, nothing.
Yeah, so Brannick will kind of release a bit of a deep breath at that, and then um kind of now not having to like dodge the stalactites, kind of move to explore this cavern a little bit more thoroughly. You said it seemed to be um this is like you said, like kind of like a piece of, this is the black like smooth stone.
Technically, all of this stone is going to, in some way, remind you all of Chardolin. In the long run, there is a blend of Chardolin was a stone worked by the mages of the Netherese, very much effectively like obsidian. And also, it was something that is historically a part of Icewind Dale because of the actual ingress of the demon lord who has all of the cursed Chardolin that was from the, I can't think of the name. It
So
was
the
part of the actual
crystal
territory.
shard,
Yeah, the crystal
Prinshinabon.
shard. Yep, Krishnabon is the demon. So there's like those two different things where the black rocks, like this black obsidian, should draw your minds to these two different things. The Netherese created it first. The demon Krishinabon created it later, in a different fashion. So they're kind of two different things. But this whole room is strewn with the actual black shards of Chardolin. The walls of that structure to the east of you are made up of the same Chardolin, as well as that pillar is also Chardolin. But effectively, all of those little gray blobs are meant to be stones made of Chardolin.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so Brannick will, if there's any kind of like small enough pieces that he can like heft in his hand, he'd probably he would want to maybe take a few of those. He had a while back he had bought like a little box to store some in, more to kind of like research, take away to research on his own. So he would just try to, if he could find a few small chips or, like fist sized pieces kind of thing, he would take some of those. But otherwise he would be,
I don't think there'd be any problem finding some. Do an investigation for me. Yeah, I think as far as things go, you can find um, plenty of it kind of available. Some of the smaller pieces are kind of frozen into the ice. Maybe it's a little bit easier to find kind of like larger fist size and like finger size pieces that you can like pry away from the larger chunks of like that pillar. But in the long run, yeah, if you wanted to collect some, I think you could certainly do so. Um, and most of it would probably be larger than you're looking for. But other than that, I don't think there's any scarcity to find like the smaller pieces.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the box that it bought is a very small box, so he would just kind of, yeah. Um, doesn't know of any like immediate use for it, so it's not like he's gathering up a ton of it. But since it's prevalent, he figured he'd take the opportunity. Um, and then
Do you have
he's
any thoughts inside of this room, Don?
I guess I'll do a walk around while he's examining the Chardolin.
Gotcha. And what are you looking for? You just want to kind of scope the initial room? Are you looking over kind of the tower to the east? Are you looking at the exits to the south?
Yeah, I guess I'll look at the tower to the east.
Gotcha. So, as far as that's concerned here, it seems pretty kind of isolated in that, like, it's a solid wall, basically, floor to ceiling. It has arrow slits in it, and when you actually approach it, the stones are rather weakened by the ice to where, like, the littlest bit of kind of contact, you can kind of feel like it is supremely brittle. You could basically break through this wall with your fists.
So I'll wait till Brannick is done with his gathering, and then I will point that out to him. And shall we go through, or shall we continue south?
So if you wait for him with a little bit of time kind of spent there, you can also peek through into the inside, and you can see that this tower doesn't really have anything kind of like innards wise. It really is just kind of the shell, and inside there is a single corpse wearing a white robe that's kind of laying across the ground. I should say skeleton, not a corpse.
Sopratic would kind of like to Fen. Do you think we could uh, get through without crumbling the whole thing? I'm just worried about a sort of bringing the ceiling down on top of us. But perhaps we could keep exploring, see if there's some other way in. Uh, we could also, if it's that as brittle as you say, we could just try to make an opening.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make an opening at the left one.
Gotcha. Takes you a little bit of time, not too much effort to make something that is effectively your size. I think as far as things go, getting you all in there is not problematic. Valine is a different story. She is massive, and she's going to punch a massive hole into this thing. Where I think that's where Brennick's concern might be the strongest moment is to recognize that perhaps bringing her in there might be a little bit more dangerous than simply you guys going in.
Yeah, so Brannick might suggest she kind of stay outside here for a moment, like give us a little time to kind of look around inside, and then if we think she needs to get in, then we'll try and leave a little bit of space so that we're still not standing right there if she brings the walls tumbling down.
So you all can approach. As you climb in, eventually, as like Professor Scant comes in, Scant is going to recall that this is a particular sort of tower used by mages of the Netherese to regain their touch to Mithril, or to Myth. Couldn't have said it as the god, to the weave. That this was a location to regain your power to manipulate magic. If you rest here, you can regain some of your powers.
That is that could certainly come in useful. Um, don't think we need to rest right now, but definitely good to know. Uh, Brannick would also be interested just in kind of checking the corpse. Kind of, are there seeing if there's any on the robes? Are there any markings or um, anything catch his eye about the robes that the skeleton's wearing? Or are they pretty? Uh, do they seem like they kind of been preserved by the cold? Or are they more like mothy, ragged?
I think you'll kind of find like a weird combination of the fibers seem relatively intact. As far as the freezing goes, I feel like it's likely that this is some sort of a silk, and I'm pretty sure silk inside of a desert environment is pretty much going to last indefinitely. I don't think the cold harms that sort of materials. I think that's where, yeah, like moths or creatures can actually consume the organic matter. So as far as things go, their clothing actually seems rather intact. While you are going through some of their clothing, you are going to see that this person has a silver emblem that is kind of hanging from a necklace on their chest. And I think, let me just get a religion check from the two of you. Or intelligence history would work as well. Yeah, that's golden. You can recognize this as the symbol of Mithril, the goddess of the weave, who effectively the Netherese destroyed themselves when one of their kind of altered the possession of all magic into his hands. And when Mithril was kind of like displaced from it, it created a shock that destroyed the Netherese society, as the myth goes.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know why that. My bad. I don't know why that dropped like that. That was supposed to just be an actual image, and it shows up as text for some reason.
yeah, so I think Brannick, being a spellcaster himself, and I think he will, maybe with a slight hesitation about robbing a corpse, but not that long, will go try and, um, if he can, get the necklace or the emblem from off around the corpse's neck and take it himself.
You most certainly can. It's a mechanically you can just put down a holy symbol of Mistral. It is worth 25 gold. Kind of same thing as everything. I give you a price not because you can simply get that, but to give us something to work from and for you to record it. I don't know why those won't show up. Did you guys click those? Will those show up as an image if you click them?
It downloaded for me, but then it wouldn't doesn't open it. Doesn't recognize the file extension, at least for me. I don't know, I haven't tried to open it with like Adobe or that, but Not sure what that PT.
It might be my fault for how I saved it because I did not actually. It's supposed to be like 4 point and 8 point because there's two different symbols for her. Let me try to resave these so they actually show up correctly. I wonder if I exported them in properly. I don't know. There we go. I don't know why GIMP feels like that's like a file extension or something. But that's the 8 pointed star. I'll grab the 4 pointed in a second here.
You said that was Mistra, or was there like an older name for her? Mistral.
Uh, I have them all as Mistral. I think it's entirely possible that in the different iterations of her existence, Mistra is like a later avatar. Uh, because yeah,
Yeah, she's like died multiple times and come back. So yeah, or maybe they just knew her by a different name or something. Yeah.
well, it
Okay.
might even be more that this is like the Netherese name than necessarily the name that most people understand it by. But I have a feeling Mistral was effectively like killed off by the Netherese when her power was taken, and the reincarnation that took that power back instantly was Mistra. I feel like it's kind of that level of like redundancy, not redundancy, semantics kind of thing.
Yep, I just did a quick Google search, and yeah, Mistral was like an earlier incarnation of Mistra. I don't know if Brannick would actually know all that history. Maybe because it's a god of magic.
This is one of those awkward times where you guys kept Valine in good graces. Professor Scant is a um an exposition box at this point. Anything and everything about these things, he is quite literally just like constantly speaking, almost uncontainable in his kind of like word vomiting out all of this information as you guys go. His entire existence across the Harple family has been basically coalescing all of this knowledge together. So from within the tower, you guys can see that there is another hall to the east of this. You could do a pretty similar thing and basically break out of that hall into the east, or you can basically go back out and continue on to either the southwest or the southeast.
And are there similarly like the same kind of arrow slits on this east wall?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like that you can see from the east that there's another hall out in that direction. I'm not sure if there's any reason to go from the actual arrow slits that are in it versus just say that there's other ones. But for what it's worth, you guys can see that it's like all frozen ice to the north and to the south. And it's basically go east or go back and go south.
Gotcha. Okay. Any thoughts, Fen?
Well, thorough exploration means we're going to hit everything eventually anyway. So maybe mean, ultimately, I have no preference.
So Brennick might suggest, given it might be tougher to get the lean through some of these, maybe we come back out and try, exploring this down south. Maybe we'll get to that other side another route. If we can't, then we can again kind of come back here and break through at that point.
Lillian was like about to peek her head down to say, "We don't have to destroy this if you guys come back this way."
So yeah, uh, you can choose this time, Brannick. Left or right?
So yeah, I think Braddock would suggest we head down south this way. Maybe start
Looking
down these
to
stairs.
looking to the east, you have natural like stairs in the ice. To the west, it's just kind of smooth level.
Yeah, Brennick is thinking maybe take the stairs.
Seems an obvious choice.
So as you go down this next level, you're going to kind of follow this little winding staircase. Um, not necessarily a staircase so much as natural stairs, kind of winding down through kind of these kind of winds before you are going to come out to the other side where you are going to see more of this black ice-like stone crumbled across the ground, a large tower that has actually fallen across, and this room seems to largely be kind of filled by this structure. Before you will notice that there is also a pit that seems to lead into the ice and kind of descend off beyond the view of your light, as well as this room kind of continues on beyond where your light sheds. Uh, Giving you the idea that there is more to explore to the east and or more to explore by going down into that pit.
So the tower on its side, is it still otherwise kind of intact, or is it more in pieces, like it's shattered from the impact?
It's probably about 2.5, 3 times your height. Mostly still intact. I feel like this would be one of those situations where you can certainly see signs where like the falling almost like bowed out the circular structure into kind of an oval. It wouldn't be the most comfortable thing to walk inside of, but you could also certainly walk inside of it. As far as the roof goes, I think you'll find that's mostly intact. That if you wanted to walk inside, it's probably best to go to the east towards the lower portion of the tower and then approach back up. Yeah.
Yeah, if Fen has no objections, Brannick would be interested in trying to kind of get inside and look around a bit.
Thorough
Uh,
exploration is my motto.
probably move carefully just in case it's unstable, but and probably not have like we would want Valine probably to go because she could, you know, her weight might cause it to. I don't know how settled it is in its current position, so just be wary. But yeah, Brannigan, yeah, definitely interested in taking a look around. So he'd probably, yeah, start heading towards the base where the base of it would be to the east.
So yeah, heading over to the east, you can kind of see the rest of this large area. Still like kind of 30-foot high ceilings or so. You can see stairs that kind of lead up to the north. Pretty good idea that that's going to lead to the other side of the like meditation tower. You can head into the tower that is like fallen across this roof. Definitely feels safer if like normal sized people rather than Valine going in. But Valine could almost hunch over and also hold up the ceiling in a different kind of comforting. But if you two would like to explore inside of there, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah.
Are you two heading?
Yeah, heading in.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My bad.
Heading into that.
Let me get. Yeah, I think once you guys head in, you'll kind of see somewhere up towards the peak of this roof. You're kind of getting that weird perspective of like the tower on the side. You can see kind of the stairs that would cycle around this circle as they make their way up the cylinder, and you can kind of see that there's this attic area. And among the things that are kind of strewed around, just like broken stone and broken wood, you can see that there is a small chest about like 2 by 1 by 1 that is kind of smashed down into the ground. Still seems to be locked. It's made of wood. It has effectively just like a pull latch, but it is frozen with ice. You could take some time to melt it with a torch. You could melt it with something else if you had another idea, or you could attempt to break it.
Yeah, I think Brannick would turn to Fen, see if do you think you might be able to snap that open. It does actually have I believe Brannick has a crowbar, if that would help.
No writing or just a simple wooden plane.
Yeah, I don't think there's any writing on it.
No, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
I mean, if you would prefer, I can. It would take me about 10 minutes, but I can see if I sense anything magical coming from either the chest or anywhere else in this area. We just mean waiting a bit.
Would that tell you whether there was something inside that was magical or that there was some kind of magic upon the chest?
Just a general location and perhaps some sense of what kind of magic, but it's not can necessarily pinpoint to the exact source. And it wouldn't know, for example, whether it was some sort of item giving off the aura or a trap or some other thing. But so it's um,
Well, let's
potentially.
err on the side of caution. We've got time.
Um,
If everybody holds fast while you are preparing your spell, we'll just kind of fast forward that time. Nothing in the environment is going to really change over these next few moments. Assuming it's two of you and Don already agreed to it, I'm just going to say I'm assuming Brannick is casting Detect Magic.
detect magic, yeah.
Um, this is where I suck ass because I don't ever pay attention to the spell schools. I think healing magic is it's not evocation, it's the other E1, the defensive magic. But effectively you can see within this gives off an aura of healing magic.
So Brannick would mention that to Fen. I think abjuration, maybe that's like the protection one.
Abjuration sounds right, yeah.
But yeah, it seems like it could be something useful in that chest, and doesn't it does I don't sense any. If it was some sort of trap, I imagine it would most likely be um, a different kind. So I think we should be okay as far as I can
Oh
tell.
no, I was actually right. It's evocation.
Oh, okay.
That's the
Uh,
trick of it. Healing magic is evocation. Um, yeah, so I think that's kind of where you have to kind of make your decision how you mess with this, because it gives off the aura of evocation.
Well, as
yeah,
long
and
as the lid is not frozen, we can try to crowbar it.
Brannick would be, I think, more familiar with the fiery, dangerous part of evocation than the healing part.
So, with recognizing it as evocation, though, you do know that you could get everybody away from it. You know that Fenn's speed and dexterity puts him among the most likely to be able to kind of absorb slash weather the storm. And you can at least forewarn him that there's at least some signs that it might be dangerous. But if somebody locks something away, it tends to mean that there's something worth finding there as well.
Yeah, so Brannick would kind of explain what he's sent to Fen. He would leave it to him. Could be something useful in there. It could be trapped. I can't say for certain it's not, but if you're willing, I'll ask. We'll give you some space, and
Well, how about we bring Valine in and have her support the bottom part of the tower just in case.
You could also take it out of the tower. You don't have to do it inside.
oh yeah, this one isn't frozen into the ground. Yeah, so maybe we do that. We bring it out,
Okay,
put
yeah.
it like in the away from the tower, like just in the on the ground, and then with enough little clearing, and then we do it. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Do you still otherwise want Valine's help at all? Or does that satisfy Fen that Fen would try it alone?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody else has got an idea or an ability, Valine, I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I think Brannick's only idea is to try and brute force it open. This one seems simpler.
I think for what it's worth, I don't think in world you guys would be that far off from recognizing the school of magics being similar enough. At very least, Velixis now has healing magic and can recognize. I don't even know how important the schools are inside of these different classifications. I'm not sure if Velixis recognizes that healing word and cure wounds are evocation in the same way as fireball is evocation. But Velixis can at very least bring up that all of you know that this thing is not locked, and I've accidentally already said that it's healing. So, for what it's worth, by the time you guys go to prepare this, this chest is not locked to contain things so much as it is locked so it doesn't fall open. And the ice has since frozen it shut. But with a little bit of effort, you guys can melt the actual ice holding that. You can pry open the lock, giving you a little bit of extra distance to keep yourself away from it, Fen, and you can have effectively all of your reactions kind of ready to react to this if something does seem to happen bad. but it's going to be very anticlimactic to where eventually when you do open this, you will see that it contains a bunch of broken glass as well as two small vials of kind of a soft red fluid.
Jumping at shadows again.
Hope with our luck, the one time we just go to open it, that's when the big explosion.
It's the pressure. I can't take it no more.
Yeah, when Fang gets it open, Brannick might kind of pick up one of the intact vials, kind of examine it a little bit, maybe take like a little taste test of it. Um, thinking thinks he knows what they are, but he will.
Relatively sure from most understandings, these are likely to be healing potions.
Yeah, so he'll offer, so he'll suggest, Fen take one, and he'll take one for now.
I think give the other one to Valixis.
Felixis is your healer. You guys cannot heal. Being able to heal the person who can heal might be more important to you guys.
Yeah, like if we could always feed her the potion if she went down and we needed to get her back up.
Okay, gotcha.
That's one thing I constantly try to remind people. If you can't heal, knowing how to heal your healer is a huge thing.
And then I guess assuming that was kind of the only thing that caught our eye within this tower. Brannick is going to kind of move over, probably towards the this pit here. He kind of doesn't want to get too close, but he's going to almost like kind of lean over with his torch and see if he can get any sense of how deep it goes. Like, does it extend beyond the reach of his of the light?
Yeah, as you start to kind of like hold the light over, you'll see these kind of smooth, icy walls that just kind of continue down and down before the light starts to fade and you start to lose some of the contrast with the walls. And you can see enough that it seems to continue on and on. As far as things go, you could drop something down there. You guys could go through another method to kind of investigate what is down there. But as far as things go, you kind of see that this smooth, like, tube through and into the ice seems to continue down and maybe a little bit off axis to tell you that it is not purely going like immediately like down towards the core of the earth so much as there is some kind of like cant to it, that it almost would create kind of like a slide to the southwest.
Brannick's thinking of some of the other kind of similar um, tunnels that we found in the other spire. Um, Looking around, like kind of like the edges, is he able to tell? Does it look like smooth, like fairly circular? Does it look like it was made by like a creature, or does it appear? Um,
Let me get a nature check, and Fen can jump in on this as well. Um, I think you'll definitely notice that this is different than the tunnels that you all found leading to the other spire. Um, and perhaps this is something where Dazan is kind of piping into your mind. Ah, yeah, I think you'll kind of hear Dazan's voice. The previous spire was evacuated by a golem I was never able to find. These walls are not the same. They are smooth, melted, almost as if by fire.
Sort of burrowing creature that gives off body heat, perhaps, or it can. He might. Brennick might just to see if they can get any more information. He would ask Valine to maybe cast light on like a piece of stone or something that they can drop in and see if they can, as it's falling down, pick up anything else about like the maybe like the extent of the slope or um anything like that from just from like kind of visually looking down as it drops the stone the light in um before they lose sight of it.
Feline has her owl, Nara. As far as things go, she can offer. I could cast light on something as simple as a mage hand. We could cast light on something to drop down, or we could send Nara on her own, or give her something to carry and fly down with light in her possession.
That is an even better idea.
What would you all like to do? Do you want to send the owl? Send the owl with light? Do you want to cast light on something and drop it? You've got a lot of options.
And the owl with light.
Yeah, maybe there's like a something
So,
which it could just carry in its mouth that we can cast light on. And
Valine will ask you for one of those pieces of Chardolin that you grabbed.
yep, Brannick will kind of pick out like a small piece that it can carry in its mouth and or beak or
She'll cast light on it, and then it'll carry it in its claws.
claws makes more sense.
So the owl will take this. Valine is going to kind of sit near one of these walls while she kind of almost steps out of her body and into the eyes of Nara, and she will follow the owl. The owl is going to fly down to where you guys can see and watch as it disappears, and you're going to then see and watch as the light slowly kind of falls out of view. Uh, Probably going to be about a minute or two of flying downward, where Valine will be more or less kind of narrating that this smooth corridor kind of is dropping down 50, 100, 200 feet, some large distance. It's opening up into a large tunnel ahead. There, I understand what creatures have created this. They are roosting in this room below. It will not be safe for Nara to explore further. Let me have one of you roll a d20. I will have her see the tunnel curved off in another direction, going further south. And she's going to basically start to describe as Naura turns west and starts to descend further and further, before it is going to come to the point. I probably said it was way too deep. Let's say it was like 50 or so feet down in like that first tunnel. Um, but it's probably about 200 feet of tunnel. It's hard to really say because it's going 3D on a 2D map. But in the long run, we'll say that Naura is able to explore this next tunnel a little bit further, where Valine is going to say, "This seems to go on, deeper and deeper. It's no longer safe for me to send Naura down. I will send her a little bit further without my view that she come back as soon as she is in danger. I am sorry, Brennick. I am going to leave the stone behind and allow her to travel in darkness. If all is well when she returns, I will have her pick it back up." And she'll basically then, while Naur is exploring further, she is going to explain to you all what she saw in the first kind of opening that opened up. And she is going to explain these large snake-like creatures that they're very long, kind of tubular bodies. There's three of them that she was able to see. One was likely the mother or sire to the two smaller ones. The smaller ones themselves are absolutely massive and dwarf the size of any given one of you. The sire, father, mother is easily the size of Valine in her current form. These things are massive snake-like creatures that have kind of like um, they're like a blend between like a cobra, how their flesh kind of opens up into this flat like fan, and their bodies kind of have like a combination of legs, almost like a centipede. And she can see that as they kind of sit on this ice, the ice is like melted into a pool that their bodies give off heat. Um, as far as things go, she can see that these creatures are remorazes, and there are at least three of them in this area down below you all. Some time is going to go by, about 5 or so minutes, before she kind of gains contact again with Naura. And Naura's going to then return probably about 2 minutes after that, bringing that stone back up to you, Brennick, where you will basically hear from Valine that Naura flew quite a ways deeper and deeper into the earth until the ice gave way and she could start to feel the heat of the earth itself. That other tunnel is a tunnel into the Underdark, and into the dangers of a different world entirely. Um, but that gives you all an answer as to where this tunnel goes. Tell me I didn't say all of that while I couldn't be heard.
No, we got you. So
All right, good.
Fen will suggest let's keep exploring. Head north for now.
Yeah, perhaps we can find an easier way down. I don't fancy meeting those things. Have to. At least not sliding right to them.
Well, there's quite a bit more exploration to do on this level. If it does head down somewhere else in places, but we might as well start with the north while we're here.
So back up those, so up this other set of stairs, perhaps.
Yeah, so continue north, keeping an ear and an eye open.
So you'll continue those like 20, 30 feet back up those other stairs to where you come up on the other side of that obsidian tower of the Netherese. You can see that there are two paths from this room that split off from kind of the same exit point. One kind of heads a little bit more to the northwest. One kind of heads a little bit more to the northeast. But effectively, this room is kind of just like strewn with the rubble from that tower in essentially the same way as the other side was. Did you want to do the north one, like northwest? Is that what you were thinking, Don?
Yeah. Well, I'm leaving it open. Either way, I'd like to explore them all unless we run into something.
And Brennick will kind of stay close with Fen, but he'll let kind of Fen determine kind of the order of how we check these corridors. He doesn't have a preference either way.
Head up
So
the straight north.
as you head off to like the northwest there, like that more northerly one, you're going to basically come into a small room, like 20 by 30 or so, maybe like 15, 20-foot ceilings here. There's just a large stone plinth kind of sat in the center. It almost looks like an altar just like dropped down into the floor here. Um, and about like 4 feet tall. Slabs like 8 or so feet long. It is a massive, like single monolith of stone, made of this stone, same like Netherese stone here, covered in frost. And I think you all would pretty quickly recognize those same draconic scripts that are quite familiar to the dwarven scripts. And let me get um the two of you to roll a just intelligence checks here. So I think maybe Brannick's kind of getting distracted by like the extent of the writing. Fen is pretty quick to pick out like the right word that kind of jumps out at you as the like right word to kind of attach to yourself to. But eventually, as everybody starts to see this thing, like Fen is going to very quickly pick out the word Yithrin inside of this script, trying to translate some of the other things. Perhaps Brennick's a little bit struggling here. Um, Eventually, kind of coming to terms, um, maybe you've got Fen kind of like almost like under your breath muttering the words that you're reading as if you don't really recognize what eye of the arcane would mean. And it's going to kind of connect the dots to you, Brennick, that this thing has written on it something about Yithrin and something about the use of arcane eye. Eventually, though, you will have Professor Scott who comes into there and he can translate the writing to say, "Take the free self-guided tour of Yithrin. Press the eye to cast the spell." Um, and I might have left off. There is a small stone eye in the kind of center of this writing that looks like a button.
And I think Brannick kind of, distracted and unable to kind of focus is after Scott does that, he's going to he'll kind of like turn to Fen and if you wait another 10 minutes, there's another spell I can cast. Take me some time, but it'll allow me to be a little more use in reading and translating some of these to come across any more of these writings. But
Sounds good. And that way, if whatever this tour is, if there happens to be some inscription there, you'll be prepared for that as well.
So you're going to take a few moments to cast Comprehend Languages?
yes, because I believe that also allows me to read written ones if I'm touching the surface, like almost like braille kind of.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is I'm not sure you will quote unquote have a physical body to use inside of Arcane Eye.
Uh, well, I mean, it lasts an hour, so I think he's gonna he will take the time and cast it anyway. It probably should have cast it when we first got inside, but didn't think of it.
All right, so you are going to cast Comprehend Languages. All right, good. That doesn't require concentration. When you eventually go to press this to create the Arcane Eye, you're going to find that it takes your effort to maintain the actual eye, that you are concentrating on a spell in the very same way as if you had cast it yourself. But you are going to immediately upon pressing this, um, have your kind of consciousness move into this effectively invisible point in this room. You are going to see yourself kind of standing in contact with this or this massive stone plinth. You're going to see Fen, Valine, Valixis, everybody standing in the same room. And effectively, you can tell me where you would like to travel. You are currently casting the spell Arcane Eye. If you would like, I can give you the spell so you have the description, but otherwise, just let me know what you'd like to do.
So that's the one it's seeing but not hearing. You pick one, or it's invis-
Um, Normal vision, dark vision, the eye can look in every direction, action to move the eye 30 feet, no limit to how far away you can go, can't enter another plane, a solid barrier blocks the eye, but it can pass through an opening that's as small as 1 inch. It is invisible, but effectively it flies like up in the air. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I guess it would start down this other tunnel to the south there, south west. No, east,
gotcha.
southeast.
If you want a closer look at it, I just posted the spell into Order of the Storm on Discord. But you want to go to the southeast there, like to the one you guys would have just gone to.
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha. So as you move the eye, oh, I wonder how to keep track of an hour. As you move the eye into that room, you're going to see a large expanse kind of going into each direction, north and south. There is a massive piece of stone that you can kind of see that fills up this center area. A little bit darker than the ice itself. It seems to be that same kind of smooth black stone that you've come to expect of the Netherese. Only kind of slightly differentiated from the ice in that much of the ice still has kind of like a softness to like this gray and whiteness that it has. Um, Among things that break up the stone from the other things is that you can see it has 2 points of light that seem to be almost glowing, uh not like a strong glow. I would say they give off like the slightest bit of light and maybe can kind of show you enough that this is the face of some sort of stone creature. As you kind of can like look in this room, you can kind of see evidence that this is some sort of decapitated like construct. The head itself is probably about 8 or 10 feet tall, laying on its side. It is probably about 10 to 15 feet tall, like left to right in this room. It takes up a massive portion of this room. Um, and I think behind it you can see kind of the change in color that shows you that the ice is not uniform behind this. What is likely another way to explore.
Yeah, so Brennick is going to. Now, would he know? Does he know how long this effect is going to last? Like after he presses the button, does he know how long he has before the tour ends?
Arcane Eye's fourth level spell, you have access to fourth level. Oh wait, you didn't take the level, which is the only thing that I think has kept you from access to fourth level spell. No, you've got them now, right?
I do now. Yep, the last level up, I finally got fourth level. So Valixis has had them for longer than I have, but I do have them
Did
now.
did you consider Arcane Eye, or was that something that wasn't even on your radar? You know what? Valine has it. I think for what it's worth, Valine can certainly tell you before you press it that you have 1 hour to explore. That if this spell works the same as our magic now, you'll have 1 hour in this form that you can explore these ruins in relative safety.
Okay, so Brannick would probably take a little bit of time, kind of sending the eye about looking at this giant, massive face. Um, and then you said there seemed to be like a change in some of the ice behind it, like maybe another way forward. So he would probably after that send the eye kind of in that direction, looking for a um like more to explore.
So there's definitely like a relative level of difficulty to explore without the light as you're kind of going through this area. But it is the kind of thing where it's like walking in the dark in the house that you grew up in. You have a certain level of familiarity with it, but you still have to take every step with kind of a hesitation to kind of distinguish, like, I know there should be a wall here, but I don't know when I'm going to hit it. And there's a certain level of like hesitation when you have to move like that. You can see the walls, you're pretty sure how far you are away from them, but it doesn't make it any less kind of comforting to move because you don't really know all that well where these walls are and where kind of the open air is. There's definitely times where you still bump into things with the eye. It doesn't seem to harm you or affect you at all, but it's kind of that awkward way of kind of moving forward. You feel like this way is tightening into kind of a smaller and smaller tunnel as you're moving to the east before it kind of widens out to where you can kind of make out this distance seems to open up to the right and left of you. And you see that this is maybe like a 5 foot or so wide in each direction, kind of little like almost like not mezzanine, but like small little like respite in this tunnel before you can kind of eventually make sense of the ice and see that it kind of seems like it's going down into the south of you, down into the right, and you can start to explore. It doesn't have quite like natural stairs like some of the other ones, but it seems to have something kind of resembling this like shelf like almost slide like descent down deeper and deeper before again you're going to spot that pretty sure this room's opening up with a little bit of effort. You can kind of see that this next room is almost kind of kidney shaped, where it has a large, big, round kind of top end. And a little bit further to the south of you, it seems to kind of taper down maybe into another, like, very narrow tunnel. And with a little bit of effort, you're pretty sure you could either exit this via two different routes to the northeast or kind of southeast. And the one to the southeast is again kind of descending down into the ice.
Okay, and so while this spell is I was thinking like Brannick essentially has to stand where he is and almost hold the button. But is it, can they move and like follow the eye, or are they here and it's just the eye that can kind of go around exploring for an hour? I was I don't know, I might have miss
Well, you said it was invisible, didn't you?
Yeah, it's invisible. It has no range limits. You are simply concentrating on it. I would say it's more that you are blind. So if you all wanted to follow it, you would have to have them guide you. In very similar fashion as to where Valine sat down when she went into her owl's vision. Um, like if you guys want to move forward here, Brennick can still speak, and you would speak from your body. Your vision is just no longer your own.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I think Brannick would he would be like narrating kind of to the others kind of what he's seeing with the eye. Um and suggesting maybe we, because there it'll, you know, we can pick up, we'll be able to pick up more details with light, if we follow it. The eye can alert us to danger, hopefully, or spot it before it gets to us, but should probably keep moving after it. But you'll need to someone will need to kind of guide me along.
Technically speaking, the eye is invisible, but it doesn't mean that you can't cast light on it as well. Valine can't see it to cast it, but like you could fly it to Brennick's hand and basically tell her to cast light on the object in the palm of your hand, kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I was almost thinking like essentially just like telling them like which direction I've sent it off and following it that way. So like I sent it like it went down south and then
Oh yeah, I was purely just saying like that's another option for you to do. When your mind is on that level of like it's difficult to see with this thing, like you guys can follow it just as much as you could bring it back and actually cast light on it. I just didn't want to say that like right away. Like, hey, do you want me to cast light on that before you send it? I wanted it to be your thought that perhaps simply exploring in the dark may not be as good as other solutions.
Oh, gotcha. I was almost thinking of like it that almost like it, not even like an actual. I wasn't thinking of it as an actual like object that something could be cast on. I guess um, that might have been why I didn't think of that because yeah, it makes sense that uh, if it's dark down here, it would yeah. So
Yeah,
um,
I'm just trying to read it over and over again. It doesn't seem to say it doesn't have like a material existence. It simply says it's invisible. And that to me tells me that it's entirely likely that there is something physical for her to cast light on.
yeah, and it's not like it's on the ethereal plane because it can't go into a different. Yeah, so so yeah, so in that like when she recommends or suggests that, I think Braddock will bring the eye back to them and essentially yeah have it essentially kind of fly into that it's like in his hand and almost like kind of with his own hand almost like guiding the lean hand to it until she can like touch it and then she can cast light on it.
So yeah, that's relatively easy enough to accomplish to where you can apply light to it. You all can also go forward with the idea of moving yourselves with it to stay closer than it. Again, it is purely up to you. For what it's worth, it can come from Valine. The dangers of traveling with the eye will be that you can knock yourself out of the concentration, whereas we are relatively safe here for now. Or, if we explore with it, we always have a closer access to what is happening to it. I feel like I may have worded that poorly, but I think you guys can kind of get the point. There's give and takes on what is the best way, and you can certainly decide.
Yeah, Braddock's thought was kind of to maybe not travel like right with it but be essentially have it almost like scouting out ahead maybe like 50, 60 feet in front and then we kind of are still going along just not yeah but yeah that is a good point to the danger is that if something breaks Brannick's concentration the spell will end and he would and we'd be moving slowly because Brannick can't really guide himself because he can't see his own surroundings. But I don't know. He would probably
What
yeah
is
see what.
Fenn's thought? Do you have any thoughts there, Fen?
Uh, well, it's six of one, half dozen of the other. It's definitely safer, and therefore would probably last longer, but would probably be more thorough if we followed it. Like I'd feel like we know a little bit about it, everything instead of like knowing what we know up close and personal.
So, final thoughts when you send the eye back off, are you all going to follow it?
Low was follow.
6 to 1.
Then let the face decide. We're following, or at least that's his suggestion.
Yeah, that's good with Brannick.
Trailing, I should say trailing a covert distance away.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe either like Felixis or Valine can kind of like just make sure Brannick doesn't like walk into something like a wall or something while he's um
How,
walking
how,
with them.
how
Are you
about this?
comfortable?
How about Fen will trail 60 behind the eye and try to hide slash stealth, and then those guys 30 behind me.
Yeah, that sounds all right. And
She
yeah, I
can
think
cradle.
actually Brannick would be more comfortable with Valine leading him than Valixis.
I mean, theoretically, 60 feet away, I would still be able to see the light, and I would still be 30 away from the trailers to attempt to stealth slash hide.
Yeah, she can cradle you and carry you along. We can have um, the lit up eye leading, Fen following, 60 or so behind. At that point, you all are effectively following darkness. Again, I feel like there should be somebody besides Brennick who has torches that you all can actually light up a torch to follow with actual light. Fen can hang out between and find your way. It is going to be difficult movement, but again, you're kind of watching things in the light, and you have light a little bit behind you, so it's not the like darkest of situations for you to travel in. It's just kind of testing those things. And then the three can follow a little bit a ways behind Brennick, kind of cradled into the arms of Valine. But among the first things that you all will be passing by will be.
Because I still have 4 torches, so they can have one.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to have more torches than just one, you need at least one lit realistically. As you guys travel here, you need some sort of light in this place. Um, I think Fen can kind of manage between the two groups without having light because there's light in front and back. But in absolute darkness here, there's next to nothing that you guys can do that's not stumbling around. But when you guys make it to this first room, you are going to see that head laying across the ground. I just dropped it inside of Discord so you can kind of see the image of what is this iron golem that is decapitated and lies across this room. Do you continue past the head as you all follow the eye? Or are you going to investigate this while you are here?
Ben wants to get a closer look. What are the eyes made out of?
I think with a closer investigation, they seem to be sort of like an amber or metal themselves. When you approach this creature, you're going to hear kind of a soft, like hissing noise as you approach it. But otherwise, nothing else seems to happen. It's kind of like a
And sorry, that sound seemed to come from the head, or
yeah, from the metal head in that room.
Is there a way to get around it without going in front of the eyes?
I mean, you can definitely get around it. You guys have already been seen effectively.
Perhaps we simply move on quickly.
Yeah, keep moving.
So I think we'll try and follow that. Or Brennick will suggest that we keep following the eye down the to the east. Yeah, down that kind of narrowing corridor.
So again, this is kind of the tunnel that kind of tightens up around you before it opens up into that little like turn. As you turn to the south, it starts to descend down as it travels in that direction before you opened up into that kidney shaped hall. When you send the eye down the hall, this time, as it curves around and starts to look to the west, you're going to see that this entire hallway is kind of filled with like a dark gray smoke that just kind of lingers about this room. And once again, you can see that there is essentially three entrances or exits. One to the southwest, one to the southeast, one to the northeast, and then the one that you all came into the northwest. I guess I should say that there's a fourth one to the southwest as well.
I think Brannick will send the um let's start sending the eye up the northeast one in that direction.
So when you send it off to the northeast, you are going to see that there is a room that goes off to the north, as well as the passage that continues on to the east. And I think it's safe to say the passage to the north you can see seems to have skeletons in the room.
I think once he spots the skeletons with the eye, um, Brannick will kind of let the others. He'll again. He's kind of narrating what he sees with the eye to. Well, I guess mostly to Blixis and Valine because Fen is up ahead. Um, but I think like he might then send the eye coming back towards Fen, and then uh like suggest to Valine like we should go up and catch up with Fen and just um we should approach this area together. But essentially hoping that by sending the eye back in Fen's direction, it might give him you know a sign to like hold or that something's going on.
Yeah, I figured it was just assumed that if I saw the light hold, that I would hold.
Gotcha. So you bring it back over, Fen, and you guys can kind of find back up to Fen. What sort of thoughts do you all have if you all kind of regroup in that little respite corner?
Yeah, so Brannick will I mean again if it comes to a fight, he'll probably have to drop his concentration on the eye because I guess he could. I don't know. Could he use that to like? It'd be difficult for him to use that to kind of like see and fight. I guess unless he kept it right near him. Um. But he was suggesting
It's
there just be
severely awkward right now because yeah, your sight is still where the eye is. So when the eye is even near you, you're still seeing like a 360-degree image. So it's almost like your focus is always kind of taxed by like seeing more than you're supposed to, versus at least when it's close to you, like some of that is what your body is used to seeing. But in general, this is a very like off-putting sensation to be able to see so much.
yeah. I mean, we could kind of running was just like we move down to like the main area, and then he can send the eye in again. Um, just have everyone else, have them all stick together in case there's anything that you know. Um, before I have the eye, take a closer look at some of those skeletons or what else might be in that kind of area to the north.
Yeah, I think the goal is to take as much precaution as possible to keep the eye up as much and long as possible.
Yeah, so Brannick would suggest maybe we come down here together, and then he can send the eye back kind of into that northern area and look around more closely. Or do you mean have it maybe go look in a different direction?
Either or.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll send it back to the north into that area with the skeletons. Maybe take a closer look, see do they appear to be
Let's go for initiative.
gotcha. And actually, do you mind if I take like a quick 5 minutes?
Oh no, we're golden. I was just looking at that. Would love to do the same. Um, Classic though. I'm gonna say let's take 15. If everybody comes back with less than 15 minutes, we'll jump right back in. But at very least, let's take at least a little bit of time here.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Be back.
You guys back right now?
Yep. Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, good. When you like sent the eye forward and Don was following, I rolled a stealth check for him and I rolled the 5. I'm like, oh shit, this is about to get bad. And then I looked at his stealth bonus. I was like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, monks are sneaky. Probably the
Yeah,
only monk I would think of playing would be like the shadow monk, which is kind of like a rogue. Like I don't like the
I've
idea of
played
like a
the
shadow
shadow
monk
sort.
assassin kind of thing. Yeah.
I've played the shadow sorcerer and I played the shadow ranger, and I had a lot of fun with each of them. I have a feeling the shadow monk would be the same level of fun. But like my brother played it's like the healer monk, um, in a Curse of Strahd game, and that monk was pretty badass. It was again one of those situations where nobody actually took healing, so his monk was like running around like punching people to keep them alive.
Oh, is that the divine soul monk? Something like that.
Divine Soul sounds wrong, but it's effectively that's what it is. It's like the medic is like the like class picture. I can't think
Or
what it is
sun
offhand.
soul or something.
Sun Soul sounds right.
Yeah, I have a backup character in the my Wednesday game that haven't started yet, but he's going to be He'll be a shadow sorcerer slash great old one warlock. So be interesting if I get to play him, how that ends up going. He'll have a lot of cantrips, not a lot of higher level stuff. So
Cantrips aren't all that bad. They scale well, that it's one of those things that you're never like throwing supremely powerful stuff. But that's quite honestly, as long as you don't like play into how boring it feels to always cast the same things. Like warlocks are great utility casters. They just expend everything really quick.
yeah, and I mean, and yeah, and that's I think we've talked about it, like having getting more spell slots because I can use the warlock slots to cast sorcerer spells and vice versa. Makes it a little more. It gives more variety. But I've never played a multi-class spellcaster before, so I'll have to see how that goes. If currently my main character is still alive and kicking, so I haven't brought the backup in yet, but it's early days yet in that campaign. So
Looks like Way of Mercy is the monk class.
oh, okay. I don't know if I'm familiar with that. I don't know if I heard of that one. I don't know a lot
It's
about monks in
from
general, though.
Trashus.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. I'm more familiar with the Xanathars and the PHP ones.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of anything from Tasha's, but it was one of those things where when I saw what everybody was planning to build, the fact that he was looking towards healing was just like, yep, go for it. Please, for the love of God, somebody have healing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely glad we have a bit of healing now.
Yeah, I constantly struggle with. I'm not keen to simply throw healing potions at a group because they didn't want to take a healer. And I mean, obviously, you very much taken to what I think is the way to do it. If you're not going to have healing, you need to give up one of your ASIs and take the healer feat. I think it is absurd for anybody in 5th edition to play without some level of having a healing ability.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the lower levels.
I'm back.
It is going to grasp out at, looks like, the party of Brennick, Felixis, and Fen. So we have something is going to swipe out at you, Brennick. It is going to miss with a 7. One is going to swipe out at Felixis. This one's going to hit with a 19. It's going to do 7 damage and reduce Felixis's strength by 3. As you guys are going to see the kobold start to lose its color, and Valixis is going to start to like almost crumble beneath the weight of her own body as this face starts to form immediately in front of hers, and this dark black mist is going to siphon directly out of her mouth and into this creature. Let me record that real quick before I say what the one does to. Fuck, I should have done her short rest earlier. Hit dice. She's got +3.
I
And
feel
it's
like you did
missing
roll.
46. Yeah, I did that for Valine. Because Valine was injured too.
For Blixus, right? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even think about checking for Valixis. So 4 plus 12. That's 23. It's 32, 45, 57. That's full health. Bam. So she's going to lose 7, 8, 9. And her strength is going down by 3. And then the next one attacking um, Fen, 14 hits a miss. So these creatures are kind of like coming out of the mist, reaching out towards you all to latch onto you, and just kind of like falling into this amorphous state. But let's see. 1, 2. And then I think we have it on Valine. What would you guys like Valine to do?
Like maybe she would go for the one that is um weakening Elixis. Maybe use those kill touch, or actually, yeah, I feel like something attack. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Don?
Yeah, I think she would attack from a preservation angle, not necessarily a altruistic angle.
Gotcha. She's going to reach out with the chill touch as she forms those arms, just kind of loosing them off towards Velixis. You're just going to see as they slam into the wall, the creature that was her intended target apparently moving beyond that space. Brennick, what would you like to do?
So I think Brannick is going to. I think he is going to attempt to mind spike the one uh, directly southwest of him, so between him and Velixis.
Gotcha, go for that. Or is that a save?
That's a DC 15 Wisdom save. My God, it's almost the worst possible damage I can deal with that spell.
Wow.
4 damage on a 3d8. 2 if it saves.
Yeah.
And Mind Spike lets you reduce its next attack by a d4?
No, so that would be Mind Sliver. Mind Spike, I just
Gotcha.
know, I know where it is. I can't hide from me. Um, oh, actually, can I retcon that? I forgot. I didn't realize it was a concentration spell. I know you wouldn't have cast that to drop the Arcane Eye.
Gotcha.
So I think instead he will cast a second level magic missile at the same one.
Gotcha. Let me get 4d4.
So that looks like 15 total. And he cast that a second level, so 4. Yeah. Because most damage spells aren't concentration. I just didn't realize it. Yeah, he wouldn't have. He would have known that, and he wouldn't have cast it, knowing he needs to maintain concentration on the arcane eye.
All right. The next two are going to come in at Brennick and at Valine. And Brennick first. 20 to hit you. And then at Valine a 7. Oh shit, I shouldn't have. Fuck. Look back at that. All right, I can look back. So the 20 to hit you, Brennick, is going to do 10 necrotic damage to you, and your strength score is going to be reduced by 1.
Okay.
And concentration check is just a base 10. And then it misses Valine with a 7. You are good on con. That's going to go to Valixis. What would you all like Valixis to do?
Do that thing that she do so well. Drop that big old fireball.
She has a single 3rd level fireball left. Are you guys ready to fireball?
I think, given what we've seen them do, I think now is the time to use it.
Like, we're not even out of the first round already.
Dude, there is a lot of these creatures in this room. I wasn't trying to convince you not to. I just wanted to make sure you guys wanted to. Brennick didn't get a solid count of how many corpses were in there, but if you had known how many corpses were in there, you would know how many enemies you have right here. So as this burst of fire just explodes just beyond where your party is, and all of you are shielded as Vilixis shapes this spell, you are going to see as this black smoke kind of coalesces, and you see, I think, 3 more creatures are exposed, as you can see where their existence is most thoroughly manifest. Can I have one of you roll 8d6? Don, you don't ever get to roll for a fireball. Can you roll 8d6 for me, please? And then this is DC 14, and there is a total of 8 being hit. So 27 damage is 13. And then I think 2 pass. They will take 6. So all right. So 4 more of these creatures are going to essentially, like, all of these are forming like right in front of your face as if they are kissing you. And we're just gonna go for one on each of you. The first one is gonna be on Fen. 22 to hit. It's going to do 10 damage and reduce your strength by 3. The second one is on Valine. This is for a 20 to hit. It's going to do 11 damage and reduce her strength by 1. The next one is on Brannick. With a 19 to hit you.
I think. I guess I'll shield.
Gotcha. It did max damage, so not a bad time. So yeah, what's your AC go up to with shield? You're now at, what is that?
21.
21? Gotcha. Um and then the last one is on Velixis, and this one's going to miss with an 11. And that will take us to Fen. Effectively, the shadow is just getting like thicker around you all as this like black mist is forming all of these faces. It's hard to really say which is which at any given point. As far as things go, you've got, God, to imagine what an injury looks like from a creature without a body. Um,
Maybe like gaps in the
I'm not
shadow or something. Like raggedy
I'm not even
shadows.
really sure if you can see this one. I don't feel like it makes sense to describe like an injury level to this. Uh, I feel like the suggestion that I can give you, from what I feel like it would be like, is you want to hit as many as possible, not necessarily that you are looking to barrel down to like hit one and guarantee that it dies. I think if you can attack 4 or 5 times, you want to attack 4 or 5 creatures.
Well, I guess with that little tidbit, Ben will ring around the rosies. He'll deal one to the three closest to me, or the four closest to me with flurry of blows.
Gotcha. Do you want to start with the one that's like southwest of you and go like counterclockwise, or do you want to go to the one that's like south of Brennick, north of you, and go clockwise?
Start there.
Gotcha. Like south of you and Velixis.
Yeah, and then go around to
Are you
the
gonna flurry? Like that'll give you a total of 4 attacks.
correct.
Gotcha. So we'll just do basically the one between you and Velixis first, and we'll end with the one that is northeast of you as your final attack. Swipe through the air with the sword. Your fist on the second one is going to feel an odd grasp in the weave. Like you are finding this creature's key, and in locating its key, you're touching its soul in a way that is severely injuring to this creature. You know, kind of at the end of things, that creature is severely wounded. But that information I want to be Fen's. That is your connection to its key. And that is the one that's kind of southeast of you. The second one, you're just going to destroy with that same kind of almost like intimate understanding of its key. When you latch onto that creature, you basically tear its existence from the mist or from the weave. And with the final creature that you strike, you will do the same. As you grasp into it, you tear it away from the existence on this plane. And that should take us to. Oh, did I skip over? No, it's 4 and 4. Okay. Oh, I see what it is. 3 of these are the end of the initiative order, and then 1 is the start. So I think we're just going to go for the same. They're just going to pile in. Each of you all are going to receive an attack from one of these creatures. as they continue to kind of swarm around you all and proceed to consume your life. The first one is on Valine. 8 to hit will miss. Second one on Brennick. You are still at 21. 14 will miss. And then what is that? Valixis is a 14 will miss. And a 16 will miss Fen. It will go back around to Valine.
I think, given how many there still are, if she's got an AO area of effect spell left, I think again now's kind of the time to use it. Go all out. If she can do it without, um, aim it to hopefully avoid hitting us.
How much do you think she cares about you all?
Probably actually, yeah, probably she's probably more interested in hitting as many of them as she can, more so than she is in avoiding hitting us in the you know, yeah, she doesn't. I don't think she'd care too much about the collateral damage.
Preservation, self-preservation.
Yeah, so I'd say yeah, just try and hit as many of them.
So
I think
I rolled for Valine to recognize these creatures. Now that the turn has kind of happened and she might understand a little bit more of what you all are seeing, I want to kind of go ahead. Can I have you all, one of you, roll a d20 here? This is just a chance. Does Professor Scant understand these creatures? Negative. She is going to cast Blight. These creatures are immune to Blight, but none of you are immune to Blight. I need all of you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, that bitch.
You guys told me to cast her AoE. So this will be her own save and Valixis's. Valixis has a +3 for con. Her spell DC is 14. Um, so, Brennick, you are going to take 21 necrotic damage. Ben, you are taking 43 necrotic damage. She is taking 21 necrotic damage, and Valixis is taking 21 necrotic damage. As she summons this like dark mist of rot, and all of you feel your flesh starting to burn, you are going to see as this dark mist that is formed around you doesn't get any weaker, might even be getting stronger, feeding off of the death that is rotting away from your own bodies. And Valine, at very least, is going to exclaim a little bit of the understanding. Perhaps that was a poor choice. And it's going to go to Brennick. What would you, sir, like to do?
Yeah, so Brennick not looking good. I think he is going to similarly cast a fireball, but he has to try and avoid hitting us. So he's going to essentially aim it over to his east. Let me pull up.
You should have control of that one. You can move it if you'd like. Yeah, so what? That's gonna kind of miss 5 of them, which I think hits 4.
Yeah, because I think in order to get this 5, I think it'd have to potentially hit Fens, which I don't want to do. So
Well, let's be honest. If there's one person who can not take damage from it, it's Fen. I think you can hit 5 and miss 4, though. I don't think you would feel too good about missing. I don't think you would feel too bad about hitting Valine with it right now.
no, no, no. I'm just like, yeah, because I know.
Even with her offhanded comment that was a bad choice.
Yeah, because there's a good chance Fen could probably avoid it, but if just on, if he doesn't, I don't want to.
I'm down to 14 hit points. I'd rather not chance it.
Yeah, and if I move it so that it hit Fen, it would only get like 2 extra of them. Plus, it would hit me, and I would probably. I don't want to kill myself with my own fireball. So yeah, I will just try to hit these 5 up here.
I remember when Valixis was casting all of that healing, and so much of it was super high level, and I was just like, ooh, you only have, I think I was thinking like 4 or 5 spells, and he only has 4 or 5 third level spells. Just like, the group kind of relies on that evocation fireball. That is a really powerful ability. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one I would go to. Say bye-bye to Fen. You get 6 of the shadows, Fen and Valine. And of course you roll max damage.
yeah. Because if Fen
3
failed that,
5s,
he
4 5s, 2 6s, and 2 4s. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
I'm
crush.
going down either way.
No, that's not where he placed it though. He was not hitting you. That was me testing like what some of the other options were. I do feel like that's kind of the ideal. Is sorry, Valine, you're just a little bit too big.
yeah, the one person who doesn't really care about hitting is Helene.
So Valine will take the brunt of that. I think that's gonna knock her unconscious. And then what did I say? 5 of them. So I think 2 are passing that. Oh wait, I don't even think it matters. My bad. Sometimes I need to remember that sometimes it just doesn't matter. All right, so same idea. You're going to see that the damage to these creatures is not as extreme as you would hope, but you're also not necessarily surprised as they have no bodies to burn. So they take 20 for a fail, which is going to be 3 of them. And then the 2 that pass will take 10. So you will see with that explosion of fire, the mists in this room are largely cleared. You now have the mist essentially surrounding Fen and Valixis, and it's like south of Brennick and Valine. Valine is going to fall unconscious with this. Valixis is under half, but other than that, we should be good to go to Valixis next. Valixis has 2nd level spell slots and below right now. You guys have seen Valixis cast Ice Knife regularly. You've seen Valixis cast Magic Missile. Valixis also has Cure Wounds, and Valixis could get Valine back up into action. I feel like those are the big things in case you guys don't necessarily know Valixis's like work right now. But what kind of thoughts do you all have for Valixis?
I'm thinking just kind of having seen like Fen like kind of going after multiples, just like spray magic missile like kind of into the mist, like one, well, she only has four, but like one at kind of each, one at four different of these things.
Gotcha. You guys want her to go clockwise, counterclockwise, or do you want her to shoot? Yeah, she can shoot maximum 4 of them.
I would say probably maybe starting from the one to her south counterclockwise.
Also, Brannick, I forgot. I need you to make a concentration check for that blight. I think
Oh yeah.
you took half. Did you take 21?
I think it was 23 or 20. Yeah, or whatever half was. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think it should have been 21. It was 43 damage, so it should have been 21. So the DC is still 10. It's still half, so 10. So counterclockwise, below Fen and Velixis first. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, doing the math right is key. I put in that 1 for that first one, and it had 3 hit points left, but it got hit by the 2, which is 3 hit points. After Velixis, we have 2 more. This is just to see who they are attacking. Um, so 2 and 3 is going to be Valine and Brennick. Valine's unconscious right now, right? Yeah, did not heal her. So Valine is going to lose 2 death saves. And then Brennick, you are going to big ol' miss with the 7. Valine is losing 2 death saves. Oh wait, did I do that wrong? Did I just skip Fen? No, then it goes to Fen.
Well, I'll do the same thing as last time. Do the, I mean, it doesn't matter. There's 4 standing there, so 1, 2, 3, 4.
Counterclockwise though, south first.
Uh, yeah, south first, and then
That southern one was the one that I told you that you like almost ripped out its connection to the weave. So that's the one that you can do the least damage to. I'm not sure if you expect that to be a punch or if your sword does a little bit more, but that's the one you at very least know some sense of its strength via key.
okay, then I'm going to end there. Start opposite way. Start above
Gotcha.
Velixis and end with him.
There's no reason that your sword attack is not two-handed, right?
Correct. And that will activate.
So as Fen goes around this circle of this last remaining like mist that kind of just floats above the floor here, you are going to be able to grasp into the weave, locating each one of these creatures with next to no trouble at all. And as you separate each of them from the magic of the weave, you are going to feel the sensation of their death and them resting for the first time in thousands of years. I think with that, Fen can certainly recognize that these were Netherese, and they've been stuck here, and they've been haunted by a thirst for life that turn them into these creatures. Oh, you know what? I didn't roll a death save for Valine on her turn.
And I was gonna say I might.
Valine's dead.
I was gonna say if I could use some inspiration because I didn't want to kill her. I just didn't. I didn't want care if she got hurt. I didn't want her dead though. But I don't know. That'd be a lot of inspiration.
In the long run, you can modify a d20 that is mine. I'm rolling that death save. If you would like to sink 7 inspiration into that, you can turn that into a success.
Yeah, I feel like I. Yeah, I should. I will. I was expecting
Alright,
to.
so I think that'll put you at 7 inspiration.
Yep. Yep. Hope that decision doesn't come back to haunt me, but
That's the joy of the dice right there. Like, I didn't want the shadows to necessarily like all be ganging up on one person. I liked how their initiative worked out. It was like in the initiative order, it was 3 of them, 4 of them, 3 of them, 3 of them. So it was like a nice like I feel like that works out wrong because it was 12. But however it like worked out, it was like a nice oh maybe it was 4 groups of 3 and then 1 of 4, something like that. But it was a good like mix of where they were, so there wasn't like 12 shadows were just going to decimate one person each turn. And it wasn't like you guys could all take your turn to decimate them real quick. There was like a good mix. But like the way that played out, where it's like, yeah, let's do 1-on-1. One goes for Brennick, one goes for Valide, and just to like knock her down a peg. That's I don't know. That's fun.
yeah, those things are nasty.
Dude, when I saw that, when it's like 12 shadows are in this room, that is a hell of a room to encounter. And if you don't start off slinging everything you've got real quick, that's super, super deadly room.
Yeah, I in another campaign I played, we ran into just a couple of them, but um yeah, the first round, like I don't know, I knocked something over and or disturbed something, and they came at me, and they both hit. They both did that max strength drain thing, and that was it because I had a very low strength score. They just
Oh,
killed
with
me.
how few things can wipe out like a party as easy as shadows. But yeah, they're one of those things where it's like this is a great time to have strength as your dump stat because yeah, 2 of them rolling a 4, like a lot of people have 8 strength and they're just flat dead. There's no healing that. You're dead. Um and yeah, that's one of those things where sometimes you really see the reason why dump stats can be really, really dangerous. And shadows, they're a low CR creature, but they resist everything. They're immune to a few things, and they are vulnerable to very few things.
Yeah, like when Felixus cast that first fireball, and it seemed like it was pretty clear, but like that's one, that's like all we got, and two, I'm not sure if there's anything that would hurt them more. They're just difficult to hurt.
Yeah, they're low hit points, but for what it's worth, they are effectively low hit points because I think besides magical weapons, a monk, Fen, is among the most deadly things that you can have against the shadow. Um, other than that, you're straight up looking for effectively a cleric.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got a few more minutes to explore here. I'm tempted to say that this is an ideal space to call it because it just hits that peak moment. But for what it's worth, like I think the alternate is that the group probably needs to consider resting because once again you have Valine is unconscious. You guys can have stabilized her for what it's worth. I mean, realistically, yeah, she's not even stabilized yet. You prevented her from death, but she has one um death saving throw. You guys can try to stabilize her, but it's kind of in that weird moment where I almost feel like this is ideal, but we can also continue forward here. It's kind of up to you guys, like where you want to progress here with this.
Yeah, and Velixis has no more healing, right?
Velixis can certainly heal her. It's not outside of things. It's definitely going to be a much lower level spell, though.
Yeah, I think just essentially to, even if it just kind of keeps her from dying more than anything.
Gotcha. I should have kept initiative just to see, but I figure once you actually expend the inspiration, I probably should fiat not have Valine die.
But yeah, I think after that we're definitely in rough shape, and we'll probably need to rest. So I mean, for me, I'm good with. I feel like this is. I agree. This seems like a pretty good kind of uh,
So
stopping
with
point.
that though, we can discuss on where we're gonna go with things. Um, you have the arcane eye still. Um, you guys could. Yeah, I think you guys know enough that Valine has Liamon's tiny hut, or at very least with the recognition that you all almost killed each other, but you still saved her life. Valine can offer a safe place for you all to rest. I think, for what it is worth, Valine will say that perhaps among the safest places might be next to the actual uh, uh, head of the golem, or some other place that might put you guys off of the main path, like where you clicked on the arcane eye, but that's a smaller room. Would you guys have an idea on where you would like to plop down for a long rest?
I think maybe near the golem would would work.
Does that sound good by Fen?
Yep.
You definitely don't want to go back up to that first level with the or like too far back towards the entrance, I should say, with like where the flame skulls were. But yeah, I think the near the golem head or the construct head. Yeah,
I don't know if Valine can fit inside of the tiny hut. Uh, she is a huge creature. I think she is bigger than Liamon's tiny hut. I think I did that as like a little joke about her hiding. Who did she hide in there? She hid somebody important.
and then doesn't the spell end if she leaves the hut?
Yeah, she's got to be inside of it.
She'd almost have to like kind of, I don't know, can she like curl into like a fetal position and just like spend 8 hours like that?
Yeah, she makes a 10-foot radius dome. God, I wanted to dispel this so bad. Um, I feel like you almost have to like dig a hole in the ice. Oh, it's so weird. I don't know how to. I mean, besides just saying that it works, I don't know how to be kind of, in my opinion, like true to like the world versus. I feel like she almost loses access to this spell because she is too big to fit into it. It's a very weird spot to put her.
Yeah, I mean, imagine there you like there could be like a modification to the spell to make it larger, but that would be have something probably have to research, like maybe I don't know, giant spellcasters have a version that can fit them, but she obviously wouldn't know that because she's never wasn't expecting to be this big.
Yeah, and it's 9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside the dome. She is effectively the size of 9 medium creatures. The spell fails if its area includes a larger creature or more than 9 creatures.
I mean, I guess she could cast it for herself and just be like, "Sorry, no room."
Yeah, I feel like that's almost where if we like take you all up to this area, if she like stops somewhere in front of where you guys go, so you almost like use the hut as a way to like block a corridor. I feel like that's the way to be kind of true to the sake of things. I think the simple solution though is to simply say that she like digs a pit or something. You guys make it happen. Um, but that's just one of those. To me, it's kind of like the funny reasons why that like random roll to see if the clerics were alive was so hilarious that the clerics were among the dead.
I guess that means Velixis is the little spoon.
Yeah, I think for what it's worth, we can just say that you guys are kind of like camped out, way too familiar with each other. Um, that's the other solution. Inside of the tower,
What if we? I mean, she's probably big enough. We could essentially like climb in like the pockets or the folds of her like furs, I guess, and or at least probably Blix good. To Don's point,
that's kind of like the weirdness of it because technically speaking, like she is too big that the spell would fail. But technically speaking, she is also the size of the creatures that are the maximum of the spell. But any more makes it fail. But that's where I'm saying, like, I feel like there's room to kind of bend it. I almost like the idea that if you dig into the ice, that's kind of a solution. Otherwise, one of the solutions is kind of barricading yourselves with the spell to basically hide like an area from existing. But I think regardless, it's kind of a I don't know. It's like that's we're kind of twisting it to our own likeness to make it more believable, but it doesn't necessarily matter because as far as I'm concerned, I feel like this is a good ally. You guys have gone further and further to kind of prove that you are at least on pretty friendly terms, and I think it's all kind of mutually beneficial.
yeah. I mean, I do like your idea of like picking a spot like with a corridor and essentially using it almost as like an impromptu wall of force. Although I guess that still cause the problem because the spell ends if she's not inside. Like, so as long as if we say that she can fit inside, then we can still do
Yeah,
that.
and that's kind of what I mean. Like, if she stayed inside of it, and she cast it like right there, that hallway would look like it just comes to a dead end. And then you guys would be inside of that area. And I think for what it's worth, she would still have to block you out because if you walked into it, you would drop the spell. So I think that is kind of like that's the closest to like the rules to make it kind of work. That she can use it as a way to block off this area. So you guys are like isolated in the room with the arcane eye.
Yeah, which I mean, it will fade because it'll be over an hour out, obviously.
Oh yeah, I just purely mean like that's one of those locations I think that works
Oh,
quite well.
Oh, right, the room with the arcane eye. Sorry, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like you guys would basically see. I don't think you would even see the exit because it just makes kind of like opaque. It's almost like those active camos where there's like a camera that's filming behind it kind of thing. So it just looks like a snowy wall. But I think that's the way to kind of do it. Um I think for what it's worth, it might be ideal to give you at least a little bit more time to explore with the arcane eye, but it would basically be under the idea that you guys have to go to shelter and you still have it. So if you wanted to use it, does that sound legitimate to you?
Yeah, so maybe we retreat to where we're going to rest, and then I can send the eye out for a bit more. And then if it disturbs something else and something starts coming, then essentially, I just warn Valine she can cast a spell and because I can drop concentration or for this concentration spell, can I actually like essentially drop it like I would a normal spell, or this one since I'm not
I don't
actually
see any reason
casting
why
it.
not.
Okay, so I could just if it like starts moving towards something and it sees something that could be a threat, I could just essentially drop the concentration. It poofs out of existence. Feline casts her spell, and then because she can still see out of it, so she could almost like keep at least for a couple, part of her rest, keep an eye south of her, so we won't be totally um taken by surprise if something's waiting for us on the other side afterwards.
Yeah, I think the alternate spot would actually be that room of the corpses, which I certainly understand if you guys don't feel comfortable sleeping with all of those corpses. But I feel like she could do a pretty similar thing of blocking off this area, um, which again is super close to where you already are. And that would again give you a spot to block off the corridor and give you all space to basically make camp behind her.
It's a dead man's party. Who could ask for more? I'm down. They're happy corpses. We set them free.
Does that sound better to you, Don? Does that sound good to Justin?
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm a little afraid what Felix is going to do with all those corpses while we're resting, but
We'll let her decide next week.
Oh god, I forgot Valine also has Animate Dead, so she can actually pick up some bodies here too.
but yeah, no, that room works.
Their spirits have moved on, so she's free to use them.
So if you continued on, I'd rather kind of end the Arcane Eye here with the idea to explore a little bit more. Um, do you want to continue that? Does that sound good to go forward with the Arcane Eye for a few more minutes here?
Sure. Yep. So I think kind of once we got situated here, I would send it out. I'd probably just start off towards the east, like kind of out south out of the room we're in, and then over to the east.
Gotta reorientate myself to the map here real quick. Alrighty, so heading to the east, you are going to see, assuming the eye is still lit up, you are going to see a cavern, probably about like 20 by 30 or so. It's not like uniform in either direction, but it has entrances and exits to the northeast, the east, and the south of you. The room itself is filled with stalactites hanging from the roof in a very similar way as to the Mephit room. When you probably pause for a few moments to kind of watch them, you don't see any movement, but you also don't necessarily know if those creatures recognize the difference between like this insubstantial light that's kind of glowing in the room and, for instance, the creatures who were crawling down into that room when they started to throw icicles at you.
Right, right. Yeah, but yeah, I think he would, yeah, take a couple minutes kind of searching for them, and then I think um keep going east.
To the directly to the east path.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
So you'll kind of like tighten up into a smaller corridor. There are some descending stairs there. Before, as you start to clear into this room, you're going to notice that the eye is grabbing the attention of some creatures as they start to move closer. You're seeing as these creatures are kind of like almost like peeking up over like different like rocks or stalagmites on the ground. Some of them are like on the ceiling and peeping around like stalactites, but you're seeing as these creatures seem to just be visible for a moment and then they're gone as they're moving just kind of too quick to keep like your eye on. Even with this 360-degree view, they are moving quick, they are stealthy, and they are very adept at hiding in this before eventually, with a few moments of kind of recognizing this, you're going to see that these are kobolds. They seem to be white dragonoids, very small, the size of Elixis, and they all seem like they're starving to death. Their flesh is tight across their bones. You can see that these things are incredibly malnourished. The room itself has three other entrances or exits that you could leave from. Eventually these creatures are going to get closer and closer to the eye as you kind of look around this room. What sort of thoughts do you all have upon that discovery?
Do they seem to be carrying any weapons that the eye can see?
None at all.
I mean, I know Velixis will want to make contact. Um, the kobolds. Um, like through the eye, is it possible to get any sense? Do they appear to be? Are they more curious? Do they look like? Do they have like threatening looks on their faces? If we can, if they're stop moving eventually at some point long enough for us to kind of get a glimpse.
Make an insight check. These are definitely curious creatures. You can tell that they don't understand what is happening. They seem to be hesitant to be in the light. They're cautious in when they are moving in the light, in that they're often like dashing from cover to cover, but they are also quickly trying to reassess. Like as you move the eye, they'll take that time to reassess the situation and try to figure out what is really happening here.
Brannick kind of looking towards Fen. He's not really sure what to make. They don't seem like they would be a great threat. Um, Elixis may be able to speak with them and gain some information if these are indeed kind of kobolds. Maybe they know about some stuff going on in the tunnels. So I don't know if maybe we could try and speak with them. Probably have to be pretty careful about it because they might, they seem so rather skittish. Um, but they don't immediately strike Brannick as a threat that needs to be eliminated.
At some point while you're investigating, one of these creatures is going to gain a little bit more uh, gall, and you are going to see as this creature leaps out with its teeth bare, and it is going to grasp for where the eye is, and you're just going to see as it slashes out with its claws and tries to bite down for where this light is. As far as things go, I don't see any reason why it can do much more than kind of affect the light for a moment. You might get like batted across the room. But again, the fact that it says the light is invisible, I think there is something there to hit. It doesn't have hit points, so I don't think there is something there for the kobold to hurt. But at very least, at some point, the kobold is going to slash out at it. And you'll see that these things are kind of ravenous in that they're almost approaching it like a wolverine or like a like bear would attack something.
May have spoken too soon.
Well, we do have food to share, though.
Yeah, I guess we could. I wouldn't want to get too close and hand feed them, but I guess we could try and see if that will mollify them. I feel like this might be a decision where we want to wait for Felixis to chime in.
I know that she'll want to, but I agree.
I mean, yeah, she'll definitely want to try and talk with them.
Yeah, and we kind of owe her. She hasn't been.
Let's not just eradicate all of the kobolds while Valixis is gone for a week.
I think we've disappointed her enough. Let's try to get one for the home team.
Can we genocide the kobolds while Valixis isn't looking?
But I mean, I feel like Felixis, if she goes up and tries to feed them, and they try to like bite her hand off, she'll try to feed him again. And
Who'd like to do the recap from last week?
yeah, that would be a little interesting to explain. Yeah, we did actually end up meeting some kobolds, but they're dead and they're gone.
It was your fireball that did it.
We thought of what you would do. Although now that she's kind of like necromancer cleric, she could then raise a little kobold army of her own.
Few things were as joyful for me as taking that moment to have Valine say, "Are you going to use that dead kobold?" So I think this at least brings us back a little bit to that point where this is a solid place to stop, so you guys can present it to Valixis. Uh, we've got like that little bit of exploration.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'd see like if I started kind of bringing the eye back the way it had come, just to see if they like seem to be following, like if they're brave enough to follow it, or if they essentially
They're
stay in
going
there.
to follow.
So in that case, I wouldn't bring it all the way back. Like once I had it, once it kind of was clear that they were following it.
Yeah, you've got these things' attention. They're still doing that kind of thing where um, I don't know necessarily whether it's the right idea to let you see that there are five in the room, but there are certainly signs that there are like 3 to 6 of these things popping up in different spots all around this like eye at any given point, where you can certainly start to gain this understanding that there is approximately a handful. When you start to move the eye around, it has their attention. They're curious. When you start to move it in a direction, you're going to continue to see these little eyes kind of popping up, disappearing, but they always stay kind of 10, 15 feet away from the eye. Every once in a while, you're going to have that same experience where one of them gets close enough inside of the shadows where it's leaping out and trying to lash out at the eye.
Yeah, almost. I think of it almost like being in the woods and like being like kind of surrounded by, and there's more than one. You don't know exactly how many there are, but like just like almost doing a circle trying to catch sight of them.
And you guys have met kobolds, and you've met Velixis, and this is definitely a third kind of kobold that you are meeting right here. You guys have met Velixis, who is very much blends into human society. You've met kobolds that are intelligent creatures, but they are not a part of human society. And these things are animals.
Yeah, Cobalt's gone feral. Yeah.
I would definitely remember that for when you recap this, because I hope when you guys tell Velixis about this, that you have at least a sense that Velixis needs to not approach every kobold like it is a best friend, just like a flaming skull should not be approached like it is a best friend. You guys are in a place that has been locked away for thousands of years. If something is alive here, it's probably not too friendly.
Yeah, I mean, Brannick's already thinking, like, if Alexa says, let's go meet them, like, Brannick will be like, okay, you go ahead and you tell us how it went. He's not following her into that, especially after the skulls. Yeah.
Do you have anything that you want me to tell your family?
There comes a time in every kobold's life